Hello, welcome back to Carry On Baggage, and welcome to my first video shot with my new camera that I cannot use. It took 52 minutes of batteries dying, accidentally flipping it to some wrong ISO setting. I don't know how YouTubers do this. Get yourself in the perfect frame and in focus. This is very difficult. You guys make it look very easy. This month, in 11 days, my son is gonna turn 1 year old. 1 years? 1 year. 1 year old. 1 years old. He's gonna be 1. And I love the videos of expectations versus reality. So I wanted to do a slight twist on that and do things that changed about me that were completely unexpected. Come up with a better title, post-production. So let me start by saying that I did so much research when I was pregnant. I went down a rabbit hole. At one point, I watched all 3 seasons of 16 and Pregnant because I just wanted to see labor videos. I wanted to see all the different things that could happen. And it's funny, I thought that I had every possible scenario that could happen except where your water breaks first. And that, of course, is what happened to me. The one thing that I didn't expect. Long story short, I was prepared. I was not shocked at all by breastfeeding. Shout out to my friend Kate, who had her son a month before me and sent me this giant unsolicited box of lanolin cream, just saying, "You'll need this." And thank you, Kate. I used every single tube. I knew I was gonna be sleep deprived. I knew mom shaming would be a thing. And I knew that newborn clothes were a waste of money, and I bought a ton of them anyways. But the things that did surprise me, a lot of them had to do with things that changed about me mentally and physically. And I kind of blame society for not really preparing women for some of the things that would be super easy to just give a heads up on. I probably learned more about postpartum recovery from Ali Wong's comedy specials than I ever learned from anybody that was part of my medical team. And I think there's a lot of pressure on women to be perfect and just grin and bear it. And so not a lot of people complain, but I'll say it. So here are things that actually changed about myself that I didn't expect when becoming a parent. Number 1, I am extremely sensitive to violence in films. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge horror movie buff. This sounds strange, but it calms me down. I used to have a weekly date to go see them with the only other person in San Francisco who liked horror movies because we needed each other. I love horror movies, and yet unnecessary violence in films, I can't watch it. It's so strange. I find myself coming up with backstories for random people that get killed, like the security guy that gets shot as like the guy is going in the building. I like think about what his mother's labor experience was like. I cringe. I have to fast forward through a lot of violent scenes. Also, I cannot watch anything sad happening to children on film. I sob if like one of those commercials comes on, for pennies a day you can change this child's life. I will bawl. And that's a weird like chemical change that's deep down that flipped immediately after having my son. Number 2, I'm like involved in strangers' children's lives now. Probably at least once a week I end up rescuing a child. Like I'll see a lost kid or like a kid, you know, going rogue on rollerblades down a steep hill. I'll like step in front of him. Because it happens so frequently and didn't used to, I feel like I just have some weird mom spidey sense. Like I seek them out. It's bizarre. Number 3, everything hurts all the time. Okay, here's my theory. When you clean up around your house, all your stuff is usually like on a table or a shelf. Kid stuff is where? On the floor. So every time I clean up my house, I'm like just bending down to pick up kid stuff all the time. And after probably 3 months of this, I had to train myself to do like ballet plies every time I bend down to pick something up because it was killing my back. Also, I have carpal tunnel syndrome, which I've never had before. If you watch a couple of videos, you'll notice I have a brace on because of like the motion of picking a kid up and having that weight on your thumb. It's just like a lot of physical pain. And I'm in good shape. I'm a dancer. I'm used to pain, but I've had to make huge changes. This is why having a kid later in life is kind of harder. I'm older now and like I don't recover as easily. You know what though? I'm glad I waited. I'm in a great place in my life to be a good parent. I was able to be selfish for a really long time and work on me, and now I just have to take a few more Epsom salt baths. Number 4. Oh, the night shopping. Nobody warned me about this. When you're breastfeeding like 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night for the first few months, you're on your phone. I would browse through Instagram, and Instagram must have known. They would target me with all kinds of baby products and I would buy all of them. I just became an addict. I would only do it at night. I feel like for the companies of like people that sell baby products, there's probably a line item on the balance sheet that's just dedicated to night shopping from mothers. It's that bad. Be warned, if you're having a kid, you need to like rein it in a bit because you're like, I need that, I deserve that, life is hard, I'm tired, I'm breastfeeding, I'm doing the best I can. On a slightly more serious note, one thing that I didn't expect was that postpartum depression can last up to 2 years after your kid's born, and it can onset really, really late. I have a whole video that I want to do talking about postpartum depression, so I won't go too much into it here, but I was taught to expect that it's mostly the first 6 weeks, and after you go your 6-week checkup and you're like, nope, I feel great, and they like send you on your way, then you've kind of made it through the dark part. But no, it can onset months and months later, and unfortunately, the older you are, the longer it takes for your hormones to rebalance, which is why probably the average is like, oh, 6 weeks, you're probably fine. But for someone like me, who's a lot older, like I probably needed to check in afterwards because it was very surprising, and a whole story that I will share in a later video. Number 7, I love comfortable baggy clothes. And I don't want to be that cliche mama who like goes into mom jeans style and never goes back. I still rock my heels. That's not true. I gave up heels like 6 years ago, but I still rock. What do I rock that's uncomfortable? I still rock corsets and I have all my fun clothes, but after wearing maternity clothes for 9 months, which are a hug in clothing form, I can't go back to certain things. I view my body a little bit differently now. Before I was really proud of it because I was in good shape and I worked really hard on it. Now I'm proud of it because of what it did, birthing a human. I mostly put the weight off, but my body definitely changed a lot. But I super duper just don't care. Whatever body issues I got from being a teenage girl in the 90s kind of went away after pregnancy. And my clothing sense, it's a lot more based on how much I love myself. Too much to be uncomfortable all the time. Okay, number 8, this video. One change that definitely happened is my camaraderie and respect for women. My feminism went from a 4 out of 10 to an 11. What I mean is I did not think that I would become a mommy blogger. In fact, I swore that I would not. Mommy blogging, which I swore I would never do. But I didn't have a lot of friends who were pregnant or had kids. I didn't have a huge support system or community. Nobody in San Francisco really has kids. And that's actually what got me into YouTube. Was there were all these amazing women posting such real, raw, honest videos about the experience, and it was a great community. So maybe I was a little naive to think that such a huge change in my life wouldn't impact whatever art outlet I had. I kind of thought that I would be able to focus more on my typical brand of minimalism and productivity and travel, but here we are talking about it because it's a huge part of my life. So didn't expect it, but a welcome change. Number 9, no one ever mentioned this, and it's such an amazing part of having a kid. You really relive every step of your own childhood. Every single thing that your kid does, or toy you buy, or milestone that they have, you instantly remember your own experience doing that. And I have been remembering so much stuff from my childhood that I think if I never had a kid, I would have totally forgotten about. And it's such a wonderful way to like connect with your past self. It feels like you get a second chance at all these memories that you'd forgotten about. As adults, we are so disconnected from our own childhood. But when you're playing in a nursery with a kid, it brings you back to that sense of childlikeness in yourself. And it's a human being that I'd totally forgotten about. And then the last thing, number 10, because round numbers, you like them, is all the ways in which it didn't change me at all. I thought getting pregnant, I would feel like a beautiful maternal goddess. I didn't. I felt amazing. I did a lot of spiritual growth with my Vipassana retreat, working with a coach, and it was a beautiful period of time in my life, but I kind of expected some switch would get flipped and I would feel like a mom. And that, I think, is happening unnoticeably slowly. I do feel a lot different now than I did, say, when he was born. And I mean, the moment he was born was one of the most surreal and bizarre and intense 30 seconds of my whole life. No one can prepare you for, I get goosebumps even thinking about it, for how unreal it is to see something come out of your body that has eyeballs and is looking at you and looks a lot like you. It's so intense. I tear up. The hormones. 11 months later, even after that experience, which I'm glad that I had that reaction, because I think if I would just been like, oh, neat, I would have seriously doubted my ability to be a good parent. But I've been very surprised by how little I feel like I've changed in certain ways. I look at other mamas and I feel like they're still so different from me. I feel still very selfish. I still feel very irresponsible, and I have to work really, really hard to overcome a lot of that to be in a place where I feel like I'm being a good parent. And I think I am. I think we're doing okay. I mean, it certainly doesn't feel like it's coming naturally. It feels like work. You know, and also my kid, he's so independent. He's always been so his own human that I feel like he's just a little roommate that we have instead of like a child that I'm related to. Sometimes that can make me feel less like a mother and honestly more like a really good roommate. I've heard a lot of women say that they expected to feel more maternal and they didn't. And yet I didn't think that would be me. I thought I would be the type that flipped the switch and was suddenly this very different person. Okay, that is my list of things that I did not expect would change when I became a parent, and some things that legitimately did surprise me. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's actually kind of lovely just talking to a camera. I'm really feeling the therapy vibe. I think the next couple videos I'm gonna work on this kind of shot, getting that elusive YouTuber blurry background, getting the lighting right, and figuring out how to use this fancy new camera. Please subscribe to my channel. Put out new videos every Tuesday. And thank you so much for listening to me vent. I will see you guys in the next video. Am I still recording? Yeah, I think, right? Sweet. We made it!